In the sauna. Welcome to In the Sauna with Dr. Kasey and Payton Lewis.
The major premise, the universal intelligence is in all matter, continually gives to it all of its properties and actions, thus maintaining an existence. So
Alright.
What's that mean?
Say that again.
A major premise is that the universal intelligence is in all matter, continually gives to it all of its properties and actions, thus maintaining it in existence.
Saying the universe gives everything we need to live, basically without interruption.
Yep. In other words, it maintains every property and every action, everything you do, everything you think, how your body grows, how you grow your hair or lose your hair.
The atmosphere, the universe we live in affects that.
The intelligence that made up this universe.
So God.
You could call it that. Some people don't like to use that word. They freak out about it. So in chiropractic, they came up with 33 principles to explain philosophically the scientific and art of chiropractic. And so and there's 33 principles we use, and the first premise is just that all right, there's a universal intelligence that's around all of us that's continually giving to it all of its properties and all of its actions. And by doing that, it's maintaining all that we see in existence. That's too easy?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, in my perspective, it would be like God gives me everything. Everything exists because of God.
Mm-hmm. His creation.
Other people might, say the universe.
Right.
Because, their own beliefs.
So, the third one says the union of intelligence and matter. Life is necessarily the union of intelligence and matter. So this is matter.
Yeah, matter is something you touch.
Yeah. And that which flows through that matter gives it life. It's called intelligence. And in chiropractic, we call that the innate intelligence.
The reason why our body heals and does certain things is because it has an innate intelligence.
Exactly. So why would I check and adjust babies?
Because the birthing of a baby is like the most traumatic thing to ever happen to a human being.
Okay, so what you're saying is that process could create interference to his existence?
Yeah, it could cause subluxation.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, because
and so that
nurses are like ripping the head and like jerking it and like pulling it out.
So that interference is what we call subluxation.
Yeah, I would call it that.
Okay. So that brings me kind of to principle number 6, says that there is no process that does not require time. So developing a baby and a mother takes time. 9
months or something like that.
So this intelligence isn't just something that just goes poof, I'm the magic dragon. It's something that is a process of time. The making of all creation took time, right?
Yeah.
So then number 7 says the amount of intelligence in matter. The amount of intelligence for any given amount of matter is 100%. It is always proportional to its requirements. So intelligence is. It isn't broken down into half or quarter, a little here and a little there. No, it's all in at all times. And so its function is that the function of intelligence is to create force. And force being
gravity.
Yeah. Being.
Because isn't gravity like the worst thing? Like Kasey's our worst enemy. Because our body's always being pulled down. So there's always going to be subluxation in our life. There's always going to be interference.
Very well put. That's exactly right. Interference interference sometimes not even detected, because we're taught in our society ever since the 1950s, I would say, that whenever you have any kind of a symptom, you need to take a pill, a potion, or a notion. And back in the day when you had these people traveling across the United States in a wagon train, it's a lot of stress. Think about that. Walking in like...
There's no shocks really on wagon.
No shock. No shock. Think about if they did it in the summer.
Hot.
Oh, there was no air conditioning.
Yeah.
And then what'd you eat? What did you eat?
Then find it.
Yeah, and there's some days you probably didn't eat.
What if they got sick, like...
That's just it.
Back then there was no Tylenol, Advil, or whatever.
Right. And so life wasn't very long back then because the stress of gravity, of the environment, being weather, being, in your wagon for 14 hours, bouncing up and down every rock in the friggin' prairie. You can tell me you're going to wake up the next morning and go, oh, new day, let's walk another 50 miles. Feel good. Probably didn't happen that way. So people back then, they dealt with a lot of stress. And think about it. You ever see any fat settlers?
No.
No. Because people had to rely on their bodies to do all the work. And now here we live today in this situation in the society that, everything's being done for everybody. Food is readily available. They have to advertise people to go exercise. Think about that.
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
Join our gym. It's only $9 a month.
And then their gyms run horrible, like the crunch up the street.
Well, that's just my point is that the mindset over time, I feel,
it's weakened.
Is weakened.
Yeah, I mean, I see it today. Like being an athlete, like you can't. I mean, well, because I was raised with I've never taken an Advil at Tylenol, I've never taken, anything like that for like athletics. And so I, knew what pain was, but like athletes nowadays, they take so many pills to cover up a pain. They don't, when they're off pain and they're training off season, they get back, and they're relaxing off season, they get back to training, and they feel one, soreness. It's like, oh, I'm injured because I'm sore. I've never felt that before because I'm always doped up, And I totally agree with like people having weak minds because they don't know what struggle is because they're always popping a pill or something for the struggle.
To numb it out.
Yeah.
So that brings me to 11. It says the character of universal forces. The forces of the universe of universal intelligence are manifest by physical laws, are unswavering and unadapted, and have no solitude for the structures in which they work. Read that again. The forces of the universal intelligence are manifested by physical laws. In other words, gravity is one of those laws. And they're unswerving, unadapted, and have no solitude for structures in which they work with. Right? So the intelligence is there. But the laws of the universe, they are always encountering us every single day. And this is why people don't understand your way of life and your way of thinking. It's because you've been trained as a kid to think along these lines that, well, if I'm going to work hard and I'm going to have stress in my life, I'm going to get my spine checked and adjusted. I'm going to clear any interference to my nervous system so that the gravity that's acting upon my body and the forces that I'm putting my body through are more... I'm more able to adapt to them because I am removing interferences to my innate intelligence that the universal intelligence made. We call that God. Other people don't like that word, but that's okay. So we use universal intelligence. But that's the reason why I raised you and your 3 siblings in this model or in this thought process is that I didn't want you to have to think that every time you had whatever, the measles, a headache, a stomachache, whatever, that your route to dealing with that was to take a pill, a potion, or a notion.
I remember having that horrible fever, like to the point where like I was in bed and like everybody was gone. I was sweating my balls off and I just was paralyzed. I was just paralyzed, and my body just paralyzed me. Like I couldn't move. I was like, oh, but I mean I didn't die.
Call 911.
I didn't die.
He's got a fever.
Yeah, I didn't die though. Like no one was even there, and during that period where I was napping in the day where I couldn't go to school, I was napping, and I woke up, I was like, eyes are open, my body's not moving. And then went back to bed, fell asleep, and then I woke up and I felt way better. It was weird.
Well, and
then you adjusted me too, like when you'd come home and stuff, you'd adjust my neck and then interfere anything that wasn't getting through on my nervous system.
Yeah, so we just simply open the pathways that allow the universal intelligence to flow through innate, to allow the body's God-given intelligence to heal you.
Yeah.
That seems so simple. You remember the time
Very simple.
when
think all the money people spend just on pharmaceuticals and like Advil stuff when they don't even need it really.
Everything's got a side effect. Aspirin alone has 21.
Yeah.
21.
Isn't there like a story or someone we know? Someone told them that they've taken their lifetime amount of Advil or something like that. Like what the heck? Like this has affected you so much that you can't take anymore, or you're gonna have major problems.
Oh, stroke. They had such a weak vascular system that they could no longer take that because it had weakened their vessels to the point of
almost getting a stroke or something.
Yeah, I mean that's what it does. It breaks down the cardiovascular system, and everything has a side effect. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a baby aspirin. But see, that's the whole thing, is that our society has been duped into believing that pills, potions, and notions are the answer to the utopic lifestyle. And the reason why we had you kids at home, the reason why we didn't vaccinate you, the reason why we never had any Tylenol or Anacin or anything like that in our house, which brings up another story.
Yeah, my friends would be like, hey bro, I got a headache, you got Tylenol or something? I was like,
What's
dude,
that?
you're speaking like some language I don't even know, dude. And they're like, can you just check your cabinets? Someone was like, Mom, do we have this? And she would just be like, for use. Like, no, we don't have that. And then like either their parents would just bring them something, or I would be like, my dad just adjusts me when I get a headache and it helps. And they'd be like, oh, I'm gonna try that. And they'd get adjusted and they'd be like, oh wow, my headache's gone.
You know.
I mean, sometimes it doesn't happen like that because you're so jacked up that you're so had a headache.
I mean, at that age, it more than likely was because
Yeah.
you guys were just in the swimming pool for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And 104 degrees all day long. I mean, you got to the point when sometimes you couldn't go swimming without a swim sock shirt because you got blisters because you're such a redhead.
Yeah, I remember getting. Well, that's why I have freckles on my shoulders, because I got a second-degree burn all over my shoulders, over my chest. Couldn't even sleep at night. Just huge blisters like that.
Yeah. Being in the pool too much, being out in the sun too long, instead of being covered up with a. Finally, we got you that aqua shirt, that long sleeve shirt, and that kind of solved.
Yeah, but then it was just so hot.
Yeah. But you guys lived.
I was like, screw this.
That pool was one of the greatest things we ever had. But again, that's what we were talking about earlier about, once I heard these principles, because at the time I had just graduated from college and was in chiropractic school and was planning on having children, planning on having a family. And it's like, well, what do you do when you have a family? Because coming from 7 kids myself, my parents never took us to the medical doctor. Except maybe when we were, about to bleed to death from like I'll never forget my brother, Joey. He's riding his bike. We're going around these people's gravel driveway. He loses his front wheel out, and there's a rock right there, big, 3 by whatever, 4 rock, and he goes, thunk, hits his forehead right on the friggin' rock, and I was like, oh, that can't be good. He comes out and blood is just gushing out of his face. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not good. Follow me. And he's screaming and crying, and I go bolting into the house, which is only about, 200 yards away. Dad! My dad comes flying up, Here comes Joey screaming, blood, shirt all bloody. Then it just rips him up into the bathroom. We're all downstairs waiting. So he comes down like he was just in triage. He's got all these, bandages on his forehead, and he's like, they're too deep, I gotta get him stitches. And off Joey went to the doctor, gets a couple stitches. We're like, whew, man, that was a bad wreck. But that mindset that...
No wonder he just kind of talks in
it. He got the crap knocked out of him by a couple hours. But that was the mindset of our parents, was you just didn't go to a medical doctor unless it was an absolute emergency. And that's what medicine usually is for, is crisis. When you have a crisis in your life, that's what it's for. That's what America is the best at. But when you're pursuing health and you're trying to be proactive and well, that's something that you have to pursue on your own. Your parents have to pursue it for their kids. Or when you get to a certain age, like your age, you just pursue that with your diet, with your sleep, by being regularly adjusted. Is that you're not looking to get rid of that mole on your skin because you got, you think an adjustment's going to do that. No. Adjustment is simply removing interference to allowing the body's innate intelligence that was made by the universal intelligence to take on those adaptive forces called gravity, called stress, called environmental stress. The better your body is without interference, the better it can adapt through those laws.
Adapt, like that word, just adapt, makes sense to me. Like when the kid gets chickenpox, they adapt to that virus so they'll never get it again. Or that kid gets this virus, so they get adapted to that virus. Their body's innate intelligence recognizes that and never gets it again.
Right, exactly. I don't know how I've been, like this flu shot thing. It seems it's the flu shot. Get the flu shot, but it's going to save, blah, 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 blah. And then being in this game, as long as I've been in this game of healthcare, and I see these people come in and they're sicker than sick, and they say, oh, I got the flu shot last week, and ever since then I've been so sick. And I was just like, you don't understand that not only does that chemical, but all the other chemicals they've taken in their lifetime, there's a cascading effect. It's going to have an effect on your body that over time is going to manifest. It's going to manifest.
Yeah.
You're.
I mean, it's funny you say that. I just think it's so crazy. Like I'll be in an office and someone will walk in and they'll start talking about like the 20 medications they're on, and they're like their sickest person that I've ever met in my life. But yeah, they're on these 20 medications that's supposed to heal them. But yeah, they're the sickest person in my life. I've never been on a medication, and I feel like I'm pretty dang healthy, But they're on 20 medications that's supposed to help them get better and be, healthy, but they don't seem so healthy.
I just had a guy come in today, right? For 4 years, he's been fighting back pain. And for 4 years, he's been going to this medical doctor that keeps giving him opiates, pain relief. And he said to me, I have been slowly weaning myself off of these drugs because I don't like what they do to me for the past 4 months. And all I want to know and hear from you is if you think you can help me. And I just looked right at him and I said, well, I know this, that your body is going to be better unsubluxated than it is right now. Because you have subluxations. Because you remember when I poked here and I was tender, that wasn't all that killed. You remember when I poked here, that just killed. How did you find those areas? And I'm like, well, 28 years and millions of adjustments later, your hands get very sensitive to what you're feeling. And so I started adjusting him. And I guess today it was kind of the last straw. But I've been adjusting him now for over 6 months, on and off, I see him about twice a month. But initially I saw him every day for the first week, and then twice a week for the next 8 weeks, and completely rid him of his pain that he had. He had no more headaches, he had no more pain. So he comes to me today and he goes, you are not going to believe this. And I said, what's that? He goes, on Wednesday I went back to my medical doctor because they already had made this appointment, and it's been set up for over 4 months. And I went back there and I told him, hey, I don't have any more pain. My headaches are gone. I don't have headaches. I just have headaches every day. I don't have any of those. And would you believe he's told me that I should now take this other pain pill and take it only when I have pain? I said, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, he gave me another opiate. He goes, I thought they were supposed to help people get off opiates. But yet all he's done is push these things. And I sat and told him, I have no more pain. But yet he wants to give me more painkillers, but different. And don't take them as long or as much. But here you go, this is in your medicine cabinet. What, if he wasn't who he was, which is he was trying to get off these opiates, he would have went, okay, and then that would have been it. He would have just pounded them or sold them or whatever and been hooked on the opiates for who knows how long. But because he had that innate intuition to say, you know what, this just isn't right. I just don't feel this is right. He was the one that pursued to get off all this stuff and to pursue to come in and have his spine adjusted. And now he's living a completely different life. Completely different life. He's back to snowboarding. He works like 50 hours a week. He's a completely different human being.
That's crazy.
Well, that's just one story out of my 28 years of thousands of stories of the same story.
Give a story about when you were adjusting the 49ers. Do you have any of them like that was getting doped up, but then you like adjusted them and had like their best game or something like that?
There was a defensive end named Charles Haley, and he had a bad neck. Really had some herniated discs, and they were injecting him, and he was doing really quite poor. Having, just signed a pretty good contract with the 49ers, and I think he had a year left on his contract. And so he came in and started seeing, I was working for a guy named Dr. Nick Athens in San Carlos, California. And so we started adjusting him, and it was probably 3 weeks that he wasn't taking the shots anymore. And he was on very little anti-inflammatories, and then after about 4 weeks he wasn't on anything. But the thing is that he went from being kind of mediocre to just taking off, getting sacks and playing good. And said his arm was no longer numb, his hand was no longer numb, he could sleep at night. He was still dealing with those herniations that were in his neck, but they were healing. And it was remarkable because the guy was a monster. He was ginormous and hitting people like crazy. And well, he ended up that he got traded to the Dallas Cowboys and signed this multi-million-dollar contract and went on to play for the Cowboys and was, quite successful for, I want to say, another 3 more years. That's just one example. The other thing was the person who was really responsible for the 49ers, getting a chiropractor was Roger Craig. Because Roger Craig grew up in Davenport, Iowa, and so ever since he was a little kid, he had been adjusted at the student chiropractic clinic there in Davenport, Iowa. Yeah. So that's all he knew growing up. He never got vaccinated and took all these pills, potions, and notions. So Roger Craig, he was in 3 to 5 days a week getting adjusted during season. Out of season, a couple days a week, depending on how well his body did throughout the season. But he was very in tune, very aware of his body. And it just so happened that year he blew an ACL. And he played the whole rest of the year on a blown ACL, which is I couldn't believe. But that was one guy that was very in tune with his innate. And he understood the big idea that by getting adjusted was removing interference to his body's ability to heal, deal him in. And so he spread the word. That's what got Joe Montana in. That's what got basically the whole offensive and defensive starting crew into the office on a weekly basis, and then when adjusted the night before a game.
That'd be sweet.
It's because somebody had the big idea. Once you get the big idea, all else follows. And that big idea is that subluxations interfere with your body's ability to adapt through these.
And subluxation is from
the
environment, the gravity, everything around you.
I'm going to carry a football and get hit by a 240-pound man at 25 miles an hour. You think? Yeah. That's a car wreck. Yeah.
I mean, I remember being in football like, Dad, I need adjusted. I hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been raised in this this lifestyle that the body doesn't need any help. It just needs no interference. And if we're going to enter into the medical model, it's going to be strictly in a crisis situation.
Like my surgery for my shoulder, because I tore my labrum off my bone, and the trainers at my school, who were very medically minded and obviously didn't kind of know what they were doing, said nothing was torn, don't get an MRI, you can just keep rehabbing it, you'll be fine. I'm like, alright, well it kills every time I try to pole vault, so I'll just take 3 weeks off and rehab it and come back and jump 5 meters. I did that twice, indoor and outdoor. I took a week time off, came back, jumped a certain year, qualified for nationals, the nationals, no hearted. Did the same thing outdoor, qualified for nationals, went to nationals, no hearted. Because I had a freaking torn labrum off my bone. Not until after, after the fact, I was like, yeah, this is not getting better. I need some real help.
Yeah.
Went, had surgery. Now I'm back to almost normal and excited to get back to pole vault. But that's just an example of needing, a doctor, medical doctor to help me. Like
Crisis,
yeah.
Yeah. And there's some good medical doctors out there for that very aspect.
Yeah, shout out to Dr. Goodwin.
Shout out.
Shoulder, what's it called? The shoulder clinic in Boise.
Yeah, Boise, I know. Yeah. He's a good dude, But, we're just trying to educate people that, and I do this every day, that you have the power, you have the ability to pursue wellness, to pursue that world, and only you can do that. And so the more you pursue your health, the better the outcome is going to be. I tell people every day, look, by you being adjusted today at 40, and for the rest of your life is going to be so much different at the age of 70 than if I left your spine where it's at 40, because it's not going in a good place. In 30 years, gravity wins. You will have degeneration in your spine that will interfere with your brain's ability to talk to its body. And I always hear this. People come in their 80s and they go, well, the doctor said that's just normal for my age. And I'm like, well, tell that to my 99-year-old woman who's been adjusted 72 years and doesn't have that in her spine. Tell her that. And I've just met very few people that have been adjusted for 72 years or 80 years of their life, and they're in their 90s and in their hundreds. They're centurions. I've met only 2 in my 28 years of practice.
Yeah, I remember one of them. She was a sweet lady.
Carlene.
She was just since she was like 18 or something like that?
Yeah. She
lived to be 95?
She lived 99. She was 1 month away from 100.
Oh, yeah.
She quit driving at 90, like 7.
That's dope.
Yeah, she was funny.
Yeah.
She told me what to do, and she came to see me. I was her 8th chiropractor. And she came in and said, all right, here's what's going on. Blank, 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 blank. And I was like, okay, let's check that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And somebody that's been adjusted that long, they know their body.
Yeah.
They know innately what's going on with their body. And that's what's cool about seeing people like that. That's why I love people that come to my clinic. They ask me if they can get on a maintenance plan. They ask me if they can get on a wellness plan. Those people are the best patients. Those people who I develop long-term friendships with because they love the idea of pursuing wellness and health. Because they got the big idea. They know what they do today is affecting them way down the road. And that's the reason why, we're taking saunas and we're in here sweating like crazy. It's just one aspect to the wellness model is to detox. This is one great way to detox. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm doing this for. It's not for today. It's for when I'm 70. I got to lose 25 pounds, and you can't lose 25 pounds and talk about it. You got to put the work in, and you got to be disciplined. And a lot of times doing this kind of stuff helps your mind get disciplined.
Yeah, guys. So we hope that you guys learned something.
Shreddy.
In a sweaty situation.
In the sauna.